Updog Scoopsy, a legend. First overall pick, 1995. I used to watch this guy fucking snapping around for the Detroit Junior Red Wings back in the day.
Oh, wow. Little Caesars?
No, the Junior Red Wings.
Okay.
Junior Red Wings. And then obviously got to know this guy. First time I met him was in Vegas, which we'll get into. But our boy.
All-Star, Hall of Famer.
Fucking legend
best
on
buddy.
and off the ice. Showed me how to do it in New York. Showed me how to do it in Vegas. Showed me how to do it in LA.
Cabo.
Fucking Bonnaroo. List goes on and on. The Beast, Bryan Berard.
What's up, guys? Sorry I'm not in studio with you. I was looking forward to getting out to LA and getting in studio with you, but this will have to do for now.
I know. We've been wanting you out here for forever, but you've been busy working, obviously, which we're happy for. But at this time with the Islanders and the Bruins playing, I was like, we got to get fucking Berard
Yeah,
out here.
what better time? Let the people hear him.
Talk a little playoff hockey.
Absolutely. I actually went to Game 6, too, out in the island, too. And to be honest with you, I haven't been to the Coliseum probably in 10 years. And that place was just electric. I mean, brought back some good memories, and those Islander fans are unbelievable.
Yeah, so just touch on that. Like, when before the games, the way they tailgate and the energy in there, like, for me, I thought it was a huge difference in that series. I picked the Islanders before the Boston series, and then once I saw that home ice advantage they had there, it's just like, it's fun to see, and I'm enjoying these Islanders fans.
It was awesome. We actually went a couple hours early, too, and did walking around and tailgate with some of the fans, which was great. And it was pretty funny because now, it's been a long time since I've been retired, but there's a couple of young kids with retro jerseys on, a couple of Berard jerseys. Oh. And I actually went up to the kids and said, "Hey, great jersey." And they didn't even know it was me, which is kind of pretty funny. No idea. But we going into the game, I mean, that national anthem had chills, and the Islanders are just solid.
That was nice.
They're just solid. I mean, they roll 4 lines, and I watched all the games against Boston. Boston just looked tired, especially Game 6. I think they just wore them down.
But talk about that barn for a second. That barn, for me, I played my first NHL game in there.
That was your first game there?
First game ever. I put fucking $5,000 on the board.
Wow.
Frosty, that was because Frosty had the fucking marker, and he's like, "You got to make a statement here. You're the first round pick." And I'm like, "Fuck, okay, how much?" And he's like, $5,000. I'm like, "Fuck." Usually it's one of the older guys talking into that, but it was our boy Frosty. But anyway, and then
love Frosty.
Of course, my first shift, I had Adrian Aucoin absolutely walk me on my blue line and went in and rang one on the bar off the bar, and it went fucking up in the upper deck at Nassau Coliseum. Which was, yeah. Anyway, Okie could walk the blue line back there.
Well, it's still a shithole.
It's still a shithole, right?
They renovated it, though, right?
They renovated it, but it's still a shithole. But I'll tell you what, the building those fans are unbelievable. It was definitely electric. I think it definitely helps get those guys going for sure. I mean, I started my career there in 1996. To me, it was a great place to play, to be honest with you. We had a young team. It was guys like myself, McCabe, Bertuzzi, Ziggy Palffy. Even like Eric Brewer, Zdeno Chara. We had a lot of good guys that before Millbury pretty much dismantled the team. But it's a great place to play on Long Island. I mean, you're close to Manhattan, you're close to the city. The Hamptons. It's a great place to play.
Beast, I wanted to bring up. Could you imagine right now, modern day hockey in Nassau Coliseum, a defenseman banging on the glass, yelling at his girlfriend before she goes and walks over to his wife to fucking rat him out? Could you imagine that ever? Can you imagine that in the new age NHL?
That was one of my. That's a great story there with Millbury, and I had Millbury actually. One of my teammates was kind of getting a little bit in trouble, and I got a big kick in the back from Mike Millbury saying, "What the hell is your buddy doing?" And we won't name any names, but that's one of the better stories because in the Nassau Coliseum, there's maybe 6 to 8,000 fans there. It wasn't a big game at the time, but it's a pretty funny story. But again, we can't name any names.
No, we're not here to throw anyone under the bus.
So how good was the tailgating before that Game 6? Because I saw some stuff on social media. It looked like it was fucking slammed.
It was hot as hell too, but everyone was drinking. It was fun. Everyone had jerseys on. I'm telling you, it was a great spot. I'm glad we went early. It actually took us. I'm up in Mount Kisco, New York, but still, I forgot about the Long Island traffic. It still took us 2 hours actually to get out there to Nassau Coliseum. But once we get out there, I think we're chugging White Claws on the way out there too. But so I had to piss a couple times, but on the way out there, it's just a great spot.
Yeah, I think it would be great. I personally, I'm pulling for a New York Islander Vegas final. Wow. I think it would be. I think it would be just epic for hockey and for fans and just Islander fans and Captain Cons and fucking all the people that get chirped all the time for them not getting there again. Yeah. Yes, they had their heyday in the 70s, but fuck, it's like it would be just great for hockey. New York, fucking alive again. Fucking, just
what I'd like to give a little shout out to right is the new Islanders owners. They're doing such an amazing job with that team. With the alumni, I mean, they gave us tickets, they gave us great seats. They're just doing a great job, and they got that new building that's going to open up near Belmont, the horse track, which is fantastic. So it's good to be an Islanders fan right now, that's for sure.
Yeah, B, you bring up the alumni, and just touch on that real quick because I know guys like even Konopka and some other guys that Trevor Gillies that didn't play a whole long time for the Islanders, but they take care of you guys really well, right? They bring you in and do charity stuff with you guys and really make you feel part of the squad.
The new ownership has. I mean, it's. I guess Milbury and the old ownership with Wang kind of pissed off and scared a lot of the alumni away. And you got guys like Clark Gillies, Nystrom. I mean, these guys you want to be around. They were great players. They're great guys. So it's good to see the alumni back and everyone's at the rink. It was me. I bumped into Steve Webb, Sean Bates, Webby, Sean Bates, Batesy Kaka. McCabe was there, so just ran into a bunch of guys, and it was a lot of fun.
How's Caber doing?
Doing good. He's up. He actually lives in Long Island too now for the summers. He's got a house up there with his wife and kids, so he's doing pretty good.
I love that guy, man. Caber, huh?
Yeah,
he's a fucking legend.
And he talks about you and him were roommates, right? Your first couple years pro.
We lived almost 3 years together. And then, to be honest with you, when he got traded, it was tough because they traded him and Bertuzzi, and we were really close. So when he got traded, it was kind of woke me up a little bit. And how basically it's a profession as well, because I was definitely bummed out when they traded him.
How was it playing with a guy like Todd Bertuzzi? He was one of those guys when I first got in the league that was fucking intimidating as shit to play against. I remember I took a high stick, lost 2 teeth. From Riley Sheehan, and then the next face-off, Bertuzzi thought I was fucking faking it for a 4-minute penalty. Elbow right to my teeth. I got another 6 stitches in my lip. I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this guy?
Bertuzzi was a monster. He was a man-child, so I actually played junior against Bert in Guelph, too. We actually beat them in the OHL finals. It was him and Jeff O'Neill, but Bertuzzi was a big, strong, player, power forward. He was a good guy too. Bert was great.
He
had fucking just old man strength when I played against him. He was in Detroit. Fuck, I got in 2 fights with him. He grabbed me. I was like, oh, this is not good.
Exactly. And Bert when he got pissed off, he didn't get pissed off too much. But when he got pissed off, he could throw some guys around pretty easily. Yeah.
That's exactly what happened, B. He was in Detroit. I was in Nashville. They had nobody in Detroit those years, right? So I was just acting like an absolute hero. And then finally, near the end of the season, he was just like, he'd seen enough. And he grabbed me. And I remember he had me, and he was throwing these haymakers, B. And I was like, I couldn't even move my head because I was like, if this hits me, it's nighty-night.
Yeah, he's strong. Strong play. He had a great career.
Beast, you're around hockey a lot right now. You're working with some young kids up in New York there. The style of game and the pace of play and the playoff, just watching hockey now in general. Describe the feeling you have when you watch it. Like we sit around Loops and I and Obes and we watch the game and the penalties that get called and the speed of it, thinking like, fuck, how would we even keep up in this game? What do you see from your eyes? You were an incredible skating defenseman, good puck mover. What do you see now in new NHL?
Well, first, I wish I was born about 10 or 15 years a little later than I was. I'd love to be playing right now, but the kids are so talented. I mean, the fourth liners, when I was back in the game, I mean, it was mostly heavyweights and tough guys that really weren't the best skaters. So now everybody can skate, and the agility, the talent. I mean, even the kids I'm working with now, the 2 18-year-old twins, I mean, their skills, their hands, and they're on the ice a lot too, but they're always working. And I think it makes a big difference. I mean, we just kind of trained in the summer a little bit. And, I just think the skill level is so high right now.
We just trained a little bit and got our dancing legs going in the summer, didn't we, B? That's
it. Worked on my tan at the Hard Rock Pool. Was about it.
We were more worried about how we're going to get through those 4 days at Bonnaroo. Can we get through those fucking days?
Fuck what Obes. Obes is a dancer, isn't he?
Not anymore. I'm not. Not anymore.
No?
No.
I didn't see many moves in Vegas.
No, I was
sit back and take it all in there.
Yeah,
you deserve that. There was a lot of moving on those legs when you were fucking going. I still like to move.
Nah, you were moving well. You would have been proud, B. You would have been proud. Speaking of
I
Vegas,
was going to say that. How was Vegas, boys? I haven't been to Vegas. I bet you it's been 5 years. I kind of quit gambling, so it's kind of tough for me to go out there. But I miss that place, and it looks like it's going. It looks like it's on fire right now.
Business is booming in Vegas. I'll tell you that.
well, B, every time I go to Vegas, B, it reminds me of the first time I met you at the old Brockheimer hockey tournament, and we were, our boy Tom Riley hooked us up with some suites, but we were in scramble mode. It just made me realize when I first came to Vegas with you, you had a fucking suite at the Hard Rock, and then you had the stripper pole suite at the Palms too, and we were just going back and forth from suite to suite, and I was like, this guy's a legend, and I was like, I got to stay in this league as long as I can. Hey,
I think we had a few little French girls with us too, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, you had everything teed up for us, bud.
Those twins from Montreal?
No, they were twins. I don't think, but
not that time. Not that time. The twins. Excuse me. Yeah, I mean Vegas was. I kind of learned from a buddy of mine that Boston guy, and he was a big time gambler, and so I kind of got involved with him early on in my career, and started going to the Hard Rock, and the Hard Rock used to fly us out in Boston. They used to fly G2, pick us up, be a few guys, myself, Joe Thornton, Nick Boynton, a few guys. I think Rick Tockett's been on the plane before. So we used to go out there and just kind of rip it up for a weekend. Usually it could last maybe 2, 3, 4 days and then time to go home. But, we gambled, hit Spearmint, Crazy Horse. It was good times out there, that's for sure.
The Rhino is back. Rhino is back.
I love. I still. The Rhino. We used to just walk right in the back door. That's for sure.
Hey, bro. Hey, B. I was just joking when we landed in Vegas. I was like thinking about Imagine back in the day playing and having to go into Vegas and play on the road. Like, could you imagine the feeling you would have landing there?
How is that building? That's what I want to ask you guys. That building just looks electric to play.
Buddy,
it looks awesome.
It's got to be the best in the NHL.
It's like a nightclub.
It's like the nowhere. It's like what's the fucking tent that we used to go to at Bonnaroo?
Oh,
it's like the other tent. It's like walking into the other tent at 3 a.m. at Bonnaroo.
Where do the teams? Do you guys know where do the teams stay when they go there? Do you guys know where the teams stay?
Yeah, when I was there, we stayed at the Mandarin Hotel, which was right by Aria, just actually across the street. You just had to jump like in the overpass to it. But it was it's a non-casino hotel. Basically just obviously for more reasons than one, but yeah, it's a good hotel too. You never know there's a Mandarin hotel in Vegas because you're just fucking hitting the ones that have the stripper pole suites in them.
Exactly.
Broadway?
Oh yeah, no. B, you just touched on Joe Thornton a little bit there, so I just wanted to know, what was it like playing in Boston? That's probably the closest to your hometown, being from Rhode Island, and having a guy like Joe Thornton on your team. I mean, I think he had 101 points that year. I just hear stories about this guy, and I just wanted to get the firsthand experience.
Big Joe was awesome, and I was lucky enough I got to play against him as well. He was an underage in Sault Ste. Marie, so I kind of was me and Joe were familiar with each other. Boston for me was awesome because my parents basically season tickets. My dad could go to every single game from a big family as well. So I grew up about 45 minutes south of Boston, and it was great. I mean, unfortunately for me, it kind of sucked because I had a decent year. I put up almost 40 points, and I actually thought I would resign in Boston. And the good old Bruins, they did one of those arbitration. They lost on purpose, and they didn't want to pay me the money that I was worth. So Chicago ended up signing me, and I went to the Blackhawks. For me, I've been lucky enough. I played in some great cities. Obviously, Boston, Chicago. The only really shithole I played in was Columbus, but that was a great organization.
Me too, Beast. Only shithole I played.
Exactly. I mean, especially for a single guy, I was 31, 32. It wasn't much chasing around there.
Nothing. There's nothing.
No.
Not even at Ohio State?
No, it might as well have been COVID going on when you were there.
Oh, God.
But yeah, Jim, Boston, my dad got to go to every single game. So that Boston's it's a good memory for me, that's for sure.
Should we talk Bonnaroo? Fuck it, Bonnaroo. I mean, Beast, we should go back to Bonnaroo. Because September 4th, 5th,
I've never been.
Jacket, Tame Impala, a couple good DJs. Fuck, I mean, some of the best times I've ever had were cruising around the farm with you boys. And I'll always remember, Beast, you'd bring Liz there. He's the only guy to bring a girl. And that bus, if that bus was a rockin', don't come a knocking. Because boy, that Berard.
One time I had it going pretty good, and then remember I woke up with Biz Nasty was in between me the one time too. I was like, well, how the hell did that end up? I think he had his Superman Speedos on too. If I remember that.
He'd be the first to tell you, and but he had a bad mushroom trip
Oh,
the first night
ate too
there.
much mushroom.
He did. Absolutely.
He tripped out and had to snuggle up with you guys in the back bunk there.
But we should definitely do a Bonnaroo reunion. That'd be great.
Hey, B, do you think we could do 4 nights like we used to, though? Do you think we could do 4? Or I don't know if I got 4 in me, fella. I could give you maybe 1 or 2.
We just have to bring in some nurses with the IV bags.
Yes.
That's what we need.
I agree with that.
Yeah, the best part about that for me, boys, was the arrival. Like coming, getting picked up at the airport, shuttling in, going to get our fucking passes. We had the babes there. We're like already scheduling what kind of show we're gonna get. Like, who's gonna roll up the Chiba. It definitely wasn't Leopold. And then who's get the beers on ice, get a Bud Light, go see a show, and then it just knowing you have 3 or 4 days with your boys for
It was great. I was along for the ride. I knew you guys knew music. I was a big music fan, but not as big as you guys. So I was just along for a ride and just follow you guys around. It was awesome.
Every music festival I went to with Berard was like, I would just follow his whatever drink he was going to drink. So day 1, I'd be like, Berard, what are you drinking? And then because he always knew by the 3rd day, I'm like, what are you drinking now? He's like, I got a little vodka with a little bit of this. And I'm like, well, that sounds refreshing. Because by that,
got to mix it up.
By that 3rd day, Berard, you're like, what am I going to drink today? And you always had the answer for me. So I appreciate that.
I'm not a beer guy either, so I stay with the hard stuff.
Yeah, me too.
Think of 5 guys just wandering around that place, getting just absolutely annihilated, trying to find your way back to the golf cart or behind the stage. Where's this stage? It's amazing that we just got through it all.
Well, thank God for the golf carts. If there's no golf carts, I probably wouldn't have got through it. I would have hung a left when I shouldn't have, maybe, or something.
Well,
yeah,
you know what?
It's hot as hell too, and it's humid as well. So you sweat it out a lot. You sweat out a lot of the poison out too. So that's why I think it can last 4 days.
Beast, you talk about you said you didn't know much about tunes or whatever, and that you just come with us. But it's almost like everything you did for us, we would just be like, Beast, Bonnaroo's not the same without you. You got to get here. We'll teach you all the bands. It's not the same without you. And I say that because I had you in training camp in Philadelphia, me and Loops, and you should have made our team that year. It was a fucking joke. But I remember that following year, right before you went to Russia, you, me, and Loops, and a bunch of babes, we fly to Cabo for All-Star break, and you taught me just everything you need to know about how to do a proper NHL All-Star break for the single guys. You got to fly in the girls. You got to make sure the house is dialed. It's got to be on a golf club. Here's the golf club. We're gonna go down to Nowhere Bar and start our night off there, and then we're gonna go to Mandela. But I was able to share that with the rest of my young single friends for the rest of my career because you fucking started me down the path. So that's my thank you to you.
Oh, you're welcome. Cabo's a great time. We've had a great time in Cabo. All of us golfing, dance parties on the greens at Diamante.
Oh yeah. So this is a good story, but we're
parties on the greens.
We're rolling our titties off, and we get to this green out at Diamante, and it's on the top of the hole. It was hole 11, right? Par 3.
Yeah, yes, correct.
And we're out there. We got flashlights. We got we got our girls with us, me, Beast, and Loops, and we're just doing our thing. And next thing you know, five golf carts show up, all the lights and the flashlights, and we're like, oh shit! Not that I thought there was any security at Diamante at the time because it was such a new development, but all these guys come out and we're like, fuck, oh hey senor, we'll keep it down. And no, they weren't there to fucking tell us to turn down the music or whatever. They brought us coolers of beer and shots and everything. And it's like we're under the stars, just fucked up. And
Senior Berard.
Senior Berard, they used to call him. Yeah. Senior Berard. Yeah, Beast. So yeah, fuck, you were the man. You are the man.
Thanks.
Beast, I just wanted to ask you. You went overseas that 1 year, played in Russia. Is it as crazy as people make it out to be? And if you can, share at least one story with us, because I've just heard this fucking place. There's no rules over there.
Yeah, and I was in VTs too, and I think that owner now, I believe he might even be in jail. It was Nikolai, but it was pretty wild. I'll give you a quick story. It's actually right when I signed. It was there. He started probably 15 or 20 games, so I only went over there for half a year. But I get to the hotel the first night, and I'm with my agent, and I meet Nikolai, who's the owner of the team and the owner of the hotel. And he's a big drinker. So we sit down, we have dinner, I start drinking with him. Now it's like 2:33 in the morning, and I'm pretty drunk and just exhausted. We just flew in. I'm with my agent and stuff, and first night in the hotel, I go, I got to get out of here. He doesn't speak any English to the owner, so I said, I basically call Theophanis, please, tell him I'm just exhausted. So first night I'm in the hotel bed, and I'm passed out finally, and I just hear this monster knock on my door. I'm like, come on, you got to be shitting me. First night, who the fuck's at my door, right? So I look, and it's my agent. He's like, open the door. I'm like, no. I said, Paul, I'm going to sleep. I'm exhausted. So he goes, no, you have a present for you. And so I opened it up in 2 dime pieces. And Nikolai says, the owner says, welcome to Russia. So I said,
you're like, what a league.
I ain't fucking leaving.
So I found some energy.
Yeah. That got your legs feeling better, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, B, we appreciate you coming on, fella. Hey, we had a guy on our DraftKings. He won the World DraftKings Hockey Championship, and he was a Rhode Island guy. Yep. And we started talking about Newport, Rhode Island, and I got to bring up Matty Fernandez. Anyways, I want to come out and see you guys. You're going to be in Rhode Island at all? Because you and Matty have been telling me for years that this place in the summertime is a good spot.
Yeah, we're going to be there. I'm going to try to rent something for the month of August because I pretty much I'm up training the kids Monday through Friday, and then I have the weekends off. So I think I'm going to rent something there this summer, probably maybe a couple weeks in July, and then the whole month of August. Once I get back to seeing you guys, I'm probably going to head out to Newport Beach to see you fellas for the 4th of July. And then I'll be in Newport. So you guys got to come out. Newport is awesome. It is banging right now. It's the restaurants are great, and people want to get out from, obviously with what the year's been. It's been tough. So people are out and having some fun.
How's Matty doing? He was just texting me. He's such a beauty, but he was texting me about the Phil Mickelson a month ago that he took Phil for. I mean, what a beauty.
He's as degenerate as you get. But he's but he's a dad too. He's got little Matty Jr. now. He's dad of the year, so he's behaving.
Yeah. RB, you're the man, buddy. We'll get you in studio when you come out here. We just wanted to get you on, talk Islanders. We know you're busy with the hockey stuff, but buddy, we love you. We appreciate you coming on. We'll have you back out here when you're in Cali, my man.
Absolutely. Miss you guys. Love you. Talk to you soon.
All right,
thanks, see you, brother.
Up dog. Oh man, as soon as we brought him in on the Zoom style, that smile, the hair, everything, it just made me realize how much we miss our next guest. It's the big boy, 676 matches, played her the right way, Andy Sutton. Big Sutsy, thank you for joining Missin Curfew, buddy. And fuck me and the up dog, we missed that smile, buddy.
Yeah, what a treat, man. It's so good to see you guys, and glad things are going well for you there. It's been fun to watch.
Obi, how fun was it just showing up to the Newport Beach Country Club and he'd be sitting there with a drink in hand, ready to rock and roll off the first tee with us?
Oh, buddy, yeah. he was the best. He'd be like, "Hey boys, hey, Obes, how you doing?" He goes, "Oh, look at Loopy. Look at Loopy's chest. Look how much chest is in
I was never short on compliments. I always like complimenting people. I don't know why.
Because you're just a good dude. And so listen, hey, we're happy you're here. Now, you're living in Nashville, correct, right? I asked Pure Silk Mike Close like a year ago or whatever. I'm like, where's Sutsy? Let's get him up from San Diego. He's like, well, that'd be tough because he's in Nashville. So how are you liking Nashville? How long you been there?
I'm loving it. I've been here just over a year. We were living in Fallbrook, California before we left, and we kind of got into this homestead lifestyle. So we started like growing a lot of our own food and raising chickens. My wife got like alpacas and goats and shit. So we got a really fun setup. And then I got a little man, he's 5 and almost 5, and he loves it. It's been great. So we basically put that back together here and cut our costs by 50%, tax basis by, about the same. So pretty incredible move. And then this place is just awesome. I mean, chasing kind of what's left of the American dream. I'm a Canadian guy that probably this country's given me everything. So I want to live in a place that's more fundamentally American.
God bless you, brother.
How's the heat in the summer? The heat's good for the golf swing, though. It doesn't take you long to get loosened up with that humidity, does it? But it's big sucks.
Buddy, I'll tell you this: the bod is a battle zone. After all those years, I'm telling you, it's rough. So yeah, the heat feels nice out of the gates. Like if I had to sprint to save my kid, like from getting hit by a truck, I'd probably just sit there because I wouldn't make it. It's like bod hurts, but all in all, man, it's pretty good. I'm still playing a good brand of golf. The shorter backswing actually helps a little bit when you lose a little bit of range of motion.
Keep fairways and greens, eh? Just hit the fairways and greens.
That's it.
Hey, Big Sutsy, I got your hockey DB up here. It's a nice pick. You don't look like you've aged a day, by the way. So your skincare product, whatever you're doing, routine's working for you, fella. Hey, take me back to the St. Michael Buzzers days. Listen, that rink helped me get drafted because I didn't have to skate. I'm just picturing your big 6'6" frame in there. You must have loved just playing there.
I mean, I did. It was an honor, and it was like a battle zone to get there. You know, I never made my midget team, so I went and played in an obscure small town in Ontario. Played junior B there with, you know, guys with jobs and mustaches and baby mama drama and the whole deal. And then really went from there, and I had a chance to play in a summer tournament series. And the first game, this guy, he was a draft pick I think he was a draft pick to the NHL at that point. He wanted to fight me, and I just beat the living piss out of him. And the best part was all the other teams were there watching. It was the first game. So nobody came within 5 feet of me for the rest of the tournament. And there happened to be the coach there from St. Mike's was in the stands. It's like funny how things happen in our lives, right? And you're just in the right spot at the right time. And he invited me to come and play there. So it was a crazy deal, like going in and, you know, the Lindros had come through there before. Like I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. And at the time, it was probably one of the preeminent places in the whole country to go if you wanted to get a scholarship. I never thought I'd play pro hockey. You know, I wanted to get an education, go have a good time, see what was going to happen. So yeah, it was a really pivotal moment in my life, and I definitely felt special coming through there.
Big Sutsy, did you go to school at St. Mike's too? Like, did you have to go to the actual school when you played?
Buddy,
there?
I did. So I never came up Catholic, right? I never came up Catholic, and I remember the first time they went to confession. I'm like, fuck it, I'm going. I'm going to see what this is all about, right? I don't know what to say. I walk down the thing, I go in, like the dude's in there, and he's kind of looking at me. And I didn't know you're supposed to say, forgive me, Father, if I have sinned, right? So I'm just sitting there waiting for this guy to say something to me. Oh, my goodness gracious.
You're like, who's going to break first here, bud? I'll stare you down all day.
100%. 100%. So he ended up, man, we worked it out. I had a couple things to say to him, worked it out, went out of there, but it was really strange. All the classes, you know, I'd take a religion class, and then like the nuns were teachers. I mean, they'd still rap you on the knuckles. Like if you weren't listening, stuff like that. You wear a full blazer, the whole deal all day long.
So all boys too, right?
Yep.
All boys back then.
Yeah, all
right?
boys. Yep.
Oh yeah. It was dicey back then.
Yeah.
Man. It was legit.
I lived with a nice family though in Toronto, and then they had the captain of our team live with me too. So it was really a cool time. It was like the first time I was really away from my folks, and in a like one of the best cities in the world, and playing for a really cool team. So it was really fun.
Sutsy Bay, it's up, dog. It's so nice to have you on here. That smile, that hair, that golf swing. Take me to Michigan Tech, your college years. We'll talk about you not being drafted, but Michigan Tech was a big school for recruiting from Fort McMurray, where I was from. I played junior with a couple older guys. You said, you know, you jump into a junior hockey room and you're playing with these guys with mustaches and big hammers, and just guys that could really shoot a puck because they're way older than you. But I was the same way. I played with all these 20-year-old guys. They were all going off to college. I'm 16. I'm recruiting all the high school girls to the parties and stuff. But, you know, what was about Michigan Tech that kind of prepared you for the next step in your professional career? What the hell was going on there? You guys must have had a couple good college bars on campus or something, because all the boys from Fort Mac loved it.
Yeah, it's great. We had a few of those guys. I just remembered I played with Devin Hartnell, Scott's brother, right? They're Fort Mac boys, and it was awesome. We had a great crew of people there. I needed it. Like I needed to go somewhere like that where I could get on big ice. Like we played on the big sheets, like 100 by 200 or whatever. And then, you know, everybody had a lot of skills. So for me to get out there being a bigger guy, and I think, you know, have to work on that craft to learn to skate better, quite frankly, you know, that was a big part of it, get stronger. But I mean, I had nothing going, honestly. Like I really had nothing going the first 3 years, really, honestly. It wasn't really looking like I was going to do anything in my career. I had an opportunity summer before my senior season to go take an internship with the U.S. Navy in D.C. And I turned it down. I was like, I'll give it one more kick at the can here. We'll see what happens, right? So I trained hard. Like I always trained hard, and I don't feel like that was the thing that like made you have a great year or not. I think it was like more mental. And whatever happened that last year, I mean, it just everything I touched worked, and I won Defensive Player of the Year and went from being an undrafted, 6'6", 240-pound defenseman to having 14 NHL teams offer me the cap the day after I had $6 in my fucking bank account. Like it was crazy. It was just a crazy journey, and I worked my ass off when I was there. I really did, Uppy. I lifted harder than anybody else. I worked really hard. and I did extra like power skating, figure skating, literally anything to try to get better. And I needed the time. And then I really had, especially in the end, Timmy Waters, the old NHL player, came in and was our coach, and he took me under his wing. Honestly, he was a defenseman. He mucked it out. He was that kind of player, and he was really pivotal in my career. He gave me the keys to the city my final year, and that's really the thing. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? Do you need the ice time or somebody believing in you to have success, or do you start showing success and then get more ice time? In that instance, and same thing happened to me with Bob Hartley. Honestly, like for me, it was like the belief, the ice time. No, but honestly, if you get the ice time and your coach puts you back out if you make mistakes, and if you're a good player, I believe the player is always going to work his ass off to fix a mistake that he makes. So I don't think you need to come down harder on a player in that point. I think most players that make it to a high level are already beating the shit out of themselves, right? So I don't think that needs to be called out. So I've had a few of those circumstances where I think I got ice time and responsibility, and then was able to kind of relax and respond. So that was definitely the case my last year at Tech.
I want to get into Bob before I turn over. We're going to get into Bob in a little bit there, Big Sexy.
Yeah.
97, 98 at Michigan Tech there. You must have been working on the backhand sauce a little bit too, because you had 40 points in 38 matches there.
Yeah, it was a good year. I definitely, I always put sauce on everything. I literally do. The guys bust my chops now in the pickup skate. They're like, "What's the deal with these?" I'm like, "Guys, I put sauce on everything. Can't help it." We got big Gilsey out there too. The two big condors cruising around the ice.
Wow, that's a lot of stick on puck with you two.
We were playing the boys rough this morning too. I don't know what got into us. We were both kind of cracking the boys a little bit. It was fun.
Hey, listen, we got a charity game coming up for our boy Chris Schupp, and there's a few guys on my list. This guy right across from me that's going to get a little bit of lumber,
for sure. I don't mind laying it even now. I stepped up on a guy today, and I was like, God, those are the days when I could just like kill you and you'd go out on a stretcher. I miss that so much.
Hey, Sutsy, real quick, I was looking over your hockey DB as well. 676 games. I know you touched on it. Undrafted. I mean, I would have never thought you were undrafted. There's a lot of kids out there that listen to the program. Good players that kind of maybe trying to find their way. What do you say to those kids? Again, 676 games undrafted. That's impressive, man.
Well, and thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, the worst part is it's over 15 years. I missed more games due to injury. Uppy might be the only one that's close to me, but dealt with a lot of those. But
hey, you can throw loops in there too.
Yeah. I don't know what to say to you, Flowers. It's like it was always. I felt like I was every day I went in. I felt like I had to renew myself. Like I had to prove myself. And I think I always lived that way, So I never once felt comfortable the entire time I was there, if I'm honest with you. So the answer to your question, I think for any athlete or anybody trying to succeed in life, is to get comfortable with discomfort. And that's the whole thing. Like you have to learn to relax and see through it. And then beyond that, it's just like, it's faith. And then I tell every young person the same thing, like the working out and being in shape, like that's a prerequisite. You don't even talk about that. It should never even be spoken of. What are you doing with your mind? How are you preparing yourself? How are you reacting to all these things when you face adversity? And there's so much adversity. I had 14 surgeries in 16 years, played for 7 different teams, different roles and positions. You're fighting, you're blocking shots, you're breaking your face to win a fucking hockey game. Like it's a gnarly place to live. And if you want to make it there, you better have figured some of that stuff out, or you're not going to make it and you're not going to last. So you've got it's special.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that really is awesome.
And Satya, it teased me up to early in your career. Our boy Princey put on a great clip on our Missin Curfew account of you and Reed Simpson. You're just going fucking toe to toe with them, uppers over. Listen, you're a fun-loving guy. You played the game the right way. You're one of the best open ice hitters I've ever played against. But talk to me about coming in the league at 6'6", 245, and listen, the league was way tougher than when I came in. When you came in, how did you deal with that on a day in, day out? Pregame naps, whatever. Because I know personally it can weigh on you.
Yeah, and I was wrecked. And I'll tell you a story, you guys. I don't know if I ever even shared this with you guys before when we played golf, but like when I came in, the same thing happened in my first rookie camp with the Sharks. A guy tried to jab me on our way. Both of us were changing, and he wanted to fight at center ice. And I don't even remember his name, but I beat the shit out of him, like literally beat the shit out of him. I didn't think much of it, finished the game, whatever. I come down after the game and around the corner comes John Ferguson, like legendary John Ferguson, arguably like one of the toughest guys ever played the game. He's fucking he's frothing at the mouth. He's like, that's what we fucking need her out here like this. Like he's just losing it. So it went from that, you know, I had a couple good preseason scraps. And then the thing that happened that like was the hardest for me, Brant Myers, my longtime buddy Brant, went back into the substance abuse program when we lost our heavyweight. And they're like, oh, perfect. We'll keep this kid who came from college and he can fight Scott Parker 4 times a year. Because that's exactly what I needed to do, you know? So it was that early on, you know, that was typecast me a little bit, you know, early on in my career, and I couldn't relax. So it's like, I honestly couldn't relax. You know, if you know, you're going into LA and you got to fight Matty Johnson, like you're not sleeping.
No,
there's no sleep.
Hey, I got a good Scotty Parker one for you. So I'm leading the league in tilts in Anaheim my rookie year, and we go in the Shark Tank, huh? And he comes over with the goatee right beside me. He's like, "So you think you're tough, eh, kid?" And I'm like, "Man, listen, I'm just trying to stay in the fucking league, buddy. Like, I'll play hard out here. I'm not gonna do anything stupid, but I'm not fighting you. Like I'm just trying to make it to they don't send me down." So I know exactly what you're saying. Like that guy was the scariest man I've ever maybe lined up beside. Like,
yeah. You remember how he started to, he had his arms like way out like this. He was terrifying. He was like, and he just had that face and that goatee goes down. You're just like, oh my God, I'm so scared.
That's like Dave, you know, Dave Schultz, same thing. He said his whole career, he was never a fighter. It wasn't until the NHL where he said he started actually chucking him. He's like, fuck, I got something here.
Yeah. So I mean, for Sutzy coming out of college, I was lucky because I played major, junior, and OHL, and AHL, so I knew coming out how to do it. But college guys, you don't really know going out of it.
Totally.
But Sutzy,
tough is tough.
I wanted to ask you, buddy. Like, I never played with you, but I feel like this is a safe. That you were a fun-loving veteran guy. What veteran guy, you know, through San Jose, Mini, wherever it landed, that on the back end that kind of helped you find your way? Like, I'm asking on a personal level, just find your way and helped you out.
Yeah, that's an awesome question. And when I went into San Jose, it was a stacked team. I mean, you got Owen Nolan, Vinny Domfus was there, you know, Mike Ricci. You know, it goes on and on. I mean, we had Gary Suter there. I mean, it was an all-star cast. And honestly, the guys really took care of me. Owen really took me under his wing. He really did. Like, he cared for me a lot. You know, I remember Dave Lowry. Dave Lowry was unbelievable. Ronnie Sutter. I mean, just like the best guys, you know. And then I had Bobby Rouse was my first NHL roommate. Just a legend, right? And I remember him story. This blew me away, right? So I remember asking him because I was so enamored, right? I didn't think, I could make it 10 years. And I said, you know, what'd you feel like? Like, where are you at in your career? He said, honestly, when I told myself early on, if I made it 10 years, it'd be a hell of a career. And he's like, I'm going into year 13 or whatever. And he's like, everything's gravy for me right now. Yeah. And I remember thinking, oh my God, 10 years in the NHL, 13 years in the NHL. Like, it was just like, and he was a great roommate, but back then, like, they were allowed to just absolutely fuck with guys. I mean, I'd get my shoes nailed to the floor, like toes cut off my dress shoes on the road, have all my pockets stitched shut. They filled my car with popcorn peanuts. Like, there was always something going on. And I think it was fun. Like, I think, you know, Brad Stewart and I were both rookies that year, and they definitely had their fun with us.
That's great.
Yeah.
Big Sutzy. I remember the one thing about you. This is before I met you, buddy. In the playoffs, you're playing. I'm teeing you up to dealing with the media and playing in Canada. Like, you fucking absolutely crushed Jordan Leopold. Like, you just about fucking kill him. You just about kill him. And then I remember the walk me through how that went down with the media guy, where your response was like, "Oh yeah, yeah." So just dealing with playing Ottawa and dealing with that media day in and day out.
Well, that was 2010 or 9-10, and I personally had a good year that year. I probably KO'd like 10 guys in neutral zone. Honestly, it was like a kind of year I was just killing guys, and I'd never been back to Canada. And you guys know, like, when you go there, it's really special to go home, and especially if you can play for the home team. And I'd never done that before. At the time, my parents were still together, and they came to every game. So getting in there was awesome, and I was super amped up. You know, coming off a good season, I had good confidence, and then it just felt special to play for they're a really cool franchise. Like, they've got really good people there. They're really professional, at least when I was there. And it just felt awesome. And then the games were, I don't know, they meant more. Like, it felt more meaningful to know that you actually had a legitimate fucking chance to win the Stanley Cup, probably for the first time in my career. You know, like I'd played for a lot of expansion teams. You know, when I was with the Sharks, I wasn't getting a lot of playing time. You know, then I go into Minnesota with the expansion draft, into Atlanta, who was never good until my last year, and then rebuilding in Long Island. You know, and then I get a chance to go to Ottawa, and I'm just like, shit, like this is it. This might be my chance. So I was really ramped up, and I remember I've seen a few clips of it now, and some people have told me that earlier in the game, like maybe 5 minutes earlier, they're like Sutton's been very quiet tonight. You know, or so far in the series, right? And then all of a sudden, it just happened very naturally. And it was,
you brought a little energy to the series after that.
God, yeah, and a lot of like, you know, a lot of people wanting to talk to me, which I was always kind of in the weeds. You know, they don't want to talk to the guy that blocks shots or all that shit. You know, so but at that point in the playoffs, I had to talk to a lot of people, and this guy kind of cornered me. He's like, you know, I think he said, kept challenging me, telling me that my elbow was up. So I start telling him, he's telling me. And then, I don't know, I just kept repeating, so you think you're an expert. It's like,
you think you're an expert.
Yeah,
oh.
Yeah, so you think you're an expert.
Hey,
I mean, we'll get Princey to find that clip. Princey will find that clip for us. I'm telling you, he's like Big Suts. He's like, oh, you think you're an expert, do you? Yeah. So you're an expert? Why don't you tell me? You seem to know what you're talking about. I just remember I was a kind of a younger kid at that time in the league, and I was like, fuck, that's how you handle it if something happens like that. Like, put it back on him.
Yeah, we don't get enough of that. You got to know what you're talking about too, I think. You know, otherwise you say the wrong thing nowadays, they'll just kick you out of the league.
Sutsy, did you play with John Carter in San Jose?
With who?
In their first year? John Carter?
No, he wasn't there when I was there, I don't think.
No, he was my college coach. That's random question.
Yeah.
Hey, Sutsy, it's always there should be more emphasis in interviews on the guys that just get to muck. Like, but the way you said it, it's right. Like if you're a fourth line guy and you say the wrong thing in the media, the coach is just going to be like, "Hey, who the fuck are you to be like talking to the media?" Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it creates way more of the story within the game for, you know, especially when you the battles and stuff. So anyway. I wanted to talk about Atlanta. I have early memories of going into Nashville at like a 19-year-old, playing in all these exhibition games and going into like Atlanta of all places. And
Cheetahs.
Cheetahs. That girl, Peaches, she used to squeeze full beer cans between her tits and like smash it. That's crazy.
Cheetahs is the best strip club. I love going to Atlanta for Cheetahs. I love
beer can full. She could squeeze it between her tits and shatter it. Anyway, no, I wanted to talk to you about Heatley and Kovalchuk and what these guys were to this league back in like the early 2000s, and just how dynamic these two were. Like, what? I mean, you played with them, right?
Yeah.
Great question.
Yeah, I played with them for a long time, both of them. And
it was insanity to watch the way these guys would control the game. And it being in Atlanta, it was such a weird ice rink, dark. It had suites on all one side. But for my first taste of watching like two elite younger players take over hockey games, could you describe what those two were like, and if there's any comparable into like modern day hockey with the way those two played?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of things right away, like going in, I knew they were special because I'd played against them. I'd heard a ton. And then my first practice there, and at this point in time, like I'm in the league, maybe what is it, like 5 years or something like that when I get traded there. And the first practice, you know, you're always a little nervous. You go into a new team or whatever, and you know, you wonder how you're going to fit in. Are you going to bust the drills because you don't know them and stuff like that? And I remember I went in the corner after I took my shot on net, the very first drill, and I curled in the corner, and Danny Heatley comes in and crashed into me. He's like, "Oh, what's up, Big Sutsy?" You know, like, so he, even as a second year player, like he just had a knack for that. He was such a natural leader. And I tell people all the time, like before the accident, when he skated through neutral zone, he looked like Mike Modano. His jersey did what Moses.
Oh yeah.
And he's the only other player that I've seen like that. And he's 6'4", and he would just like super long legs, and he would just gallop through neutral zone. You couldn't even touch him. No. So smooth, little tiny chunk of tape. You're like, you got to be good. You got fucking 2 inches. You got 2 inches of tape on that. I've got like all the way up, halfway up the shaft, and like half a thing of wax.
Ooh, this guy's got good hands.
Yeah. And then Covey. I mean, Covey was just so nasty. I mean, you guys remember he'd come down and he was the first guy. He'd like, as he stick handled, he would pump back and forth, and he had a curve like this. Yeah. And he'd use it no matter what, and the team wouldn't say anything because he was just so filthy with it. But he'd get called on like a couple of illegal sticks, you know, at different times. I think both times he grabbed like a Bob Corkum, like just dead ass straight, probably wood blade. He goes to the box, he'd come out of the box and get a breakaway and go score with Corkum's stick. I mean, I still remember him doing that. I mean, he was spectacular. You know, he definitely had some things to learn, I think, about like being a good teammate and what it means like to really be, tied into your team and not be selfish. So he had some of that to learn. I don't know if he ever figured it out, but I hope he did. And then Danny was just such a game-changing talent, like the kind of player that some players are really good, but they don't make everybody better. And then you think about the players that make everybody better, and that was Danny. He had such a knack for the game, and like Joe Thornton-esque,
Yeah,
I got traded that rookie year from Anaheim to Tampa, and correct me if I'm wrong. That was called the old Southeast Division, right?
Oh, yeah.
Was that with Tampa? Yep. Yeah. So Washington was in that division, I believe, or
Washington, Carolina.
Yeah. So I get traded there.
Tampa.
I'm playing against Ovi. I got no business being on the ice against Ovi, zero. Yeah. And then I would go in and play against you guys, and I'd be on the ice against Kovalchuk. I'm like, I got no business being out here against this guy. Like, no matter what I did, I could not stop Kovalchuk. Like, he'd come down the wing and cut to the middle, and you're just like, what?
It was impossible. He was impossible to defend, and he'd always come down on his offside, and I'd play him in practice, obviously, all the time. And if I just like played the dot and just gave him wide, he wouldn't do anything. He tried to play, close the gap, play him close. He'd give you one of those and he'd be gone because he's like 240 and his legs are that big. It's just a spectacular, like phenomenal athlete.
He was. I mean, those years in Atlanta, like, whoa. And speaking of Atlanta, me and you talked about this previously, but I rip Bob Hartley a lot on this podcast. Any chance I can get, I like to rip him. Now you had a different relationship with him. I still find it hard to believe, but Bob was good to you, wasn't he, Sutsy?
Well, I'll say this about Bob, okay? And I say the same thing. It's the truth. He is a very controlling coach. He has the highest attention to detail of any coach I've ever played for. He likes power and likes to prey on people he thinks is weak. That's one of his MOs. I don't know if he still does it.
He's got it.
And then he likes to control the team with stuff like really nasty Monday morning practices after you get like Sunday off, boys. Like, he's that guy. You know what I mean?
He's that. Yeah. It's like he ruins the day off because you can't even enjoy it because Monday morning you're getting rinsed so hard.
But I'll say this: when he first came in, he said to me in a private meeting, he said, "I've heard you have potential. You haven't shown it yet." And I said, "Yeah, that's true." He said, "Well, I'm going to play you 30 minutes a night, and you're going to slit your own throat. And we're going to find out if you can play this game or not." And he did. And he played me every second shift, and I played that way with him for probably 3 seasons. And it was the reason I was probably able to, extend my career, quite frankly, because if it could have gone the other way. When I went there, because I asked for a trade from Minnesota because they were trying to turn me into a forward. So I closed that door, and then basically anywhere that you can trade me where they would like to give me a crack as a defenseman, I went in, and it didn't, it was a turning point. If he'd have come in and hated me, I was probably done. My career was probably done. So he, as much of a certain type of coach as he is, he definitely was instrumental in my career. And then towards the end, we had a couple very heated, because at that point I felt validated to be able to go back at him, and we had some pretty contentious deals. I'll tell you, he's an intense guy for sure.
Yeah, he's. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a good point by you. No matter if your coach plays you as players, as ex-players, that's all we cared about, right? That's the main reason I hated him too, is he didn't play me, and he had the worst French accent, and he was a prick. I'm like, he's not playing me. He's got a French accent. He's a prick. This guy's
there's nobody worse on what he perceives as bubble guys than Bob Hartley. Like, bubble guys, if you're a bubble guy with Bob, you're literally a slave. Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable.
He made Sven Barchi cry one day in the dressing room. I go over to Sven. I'm like, quit crying. Don't let the guy fucking see this little Swiss kid. He's in the fucking crying. I'm like, come on, Sven, don't like. So he did prey on guys, but the one thing I got Chris Kunitz on my side. He called Chris Kunitz in when Kunitz got picked up on waivers by Atlanta. He's like, you'll never be an NHLer. You'll never be a regular NHLer.
You want to know what's even worse about that? He called him cuntsy. Like, he literally on purpose called him that. And I was like, how are you doing? Like, how are you talking to this person like this? And then he just comes out and have just an insane career, just a nasty player that every single team in the league would want.
So Sutsy, you'll love this. In Calgary, we're struggling, and the boys, I'm like, they want to go no bucket warm up, but nobody will go talk to him. And I'm in and out of the doghouse. I play 6 minutes a night when I dress, and then I'll sit out a week. I'm like, fuck it, I'll go knock on his door. I'll ask him. So I go knock on the door. And I'm like, Bob. He's like, the look on his face, like, what is this guy doing knocking on my door? I'm like, can I talk to you about something? He's like, yeah. I'm like, listen, the boys have been talking. We'd like to go no bucket and warm up to see if we can snap this 9-game fucking losing streak we're on here. He goes, oh, no. You want to go no bucket, you buy a convertible. And I'm like, I go back and they're like, what did he say? I go, he told me to buy a convertible. It's fucking minus 90. And I'm like, I tried, boys. So
yeah, he did have some good one-liners for sure. Did you ever hear that story? Did you ever hear that story when he was sending the kid down from Colorado and he called him in and asked him if he liked chocolate? That was the first question.
Yeah. That was Scott Parker. He said, hey, he goes, Parks, he goes, hey, you like Hershey Kisses? He's like, yeah, you like Hershey chocolate? Yeah, good, because I'm sending you down to Hershey.
Oh my goodness.
So Sutsy, you'll love it. We're in Carolina. This was the writing on the wall here, Sutsy. So we're in Carolina, and I've got to get my thumb taped up because I jammed it. So it's me and Yuri Hoodler and the guys in Calgary. They love to go on the ice and do the Indy 500, eh? Like, so anyways, the clock, the you know the little clock the trainers would bring, that the actual one on batteries?
Yeah.
It was a little behind. So I end up getting out there and practice had just started. And he comes right for me. And he's like, oh, you must have been in the gym working out, eh? That's because you're fucking late. And I'm like, I hear him say it. I turn back. The practice is going on. I go through the drill. I'm like, hey, you know what, Bob? Fuck you. I go, everyone knows that you were fucking locked out of the dressing room. You won a Stanley Cup with the best team ever assembled. And then they locked you out of the dressing room the next year. I'm like, fuck you. And then Big Erd came and grabbed me. I was on waivers 3 days later.
Yeah, good for you, though. You got to stick up for yourself in this life.
I had enough. Big Sutsy, last thing about hockey here before we talk about what you're doing now. You're doing some great stuff that does involve hockey. Cross-checking, defending nowadays, the way you played the game and the way I played, we would have been in trouble, my friend. What are your thoughts when you watch it? Do you feel bad for these guys? It's tough to defend nowadays, Suts.
Yeah, look, at a certain point, what will be a distant memory. All the kids coming up are playing a certain way. I heard there's leagues that aren't allowing you to finish your check anymore either. Like, it's only a matter of time before that infuses into the game. So we're probably fighting a losing battle, trying to think it's going to come back to guys trying to kill each other. It's not going to happen. So in that regard, like, sure, the skill's high. It's probably a lot more looks like when I played in Europe. If I'm honest, it's a lot more like that. It's a lot more fluff and dash and stuff like that. And I think it's good maybe for fans, and maybe it's good for the players' health and well-being in the end, because if they're getting less concussions, then that's good. That's a good thing, right? Because we all know people that have suffered really badly with that stuff after the game, and it's a pretty high cost.
Yeah, sorry. I was going to bring up your year at Edmonton, and I know a lot of people deal with winters in Edmonton in a different way, but you managed to get yourself in a whole whack of trouble back to back sussies. Could you? Yeah, I mean, I know you wanted to get the hell out of Edmonton, but I didn't know you'd do it that way. Could you touch on that before? Like that actually set a pretty good. That set a benchmark for just how many suspensions a guy can get in one kind of calendar year.
Yeah, I was definitely the poster boy in the end. And I was actually loving my time in Edmonton playing with all those first rounders. It was pretty sweet. But it was a tough year. They had just mandated the changes, and you guys remember when they like the whole obstruction hooking and stuff, and guys get penalties and be like, well, I didn't even know what they did, right? So those cultural changes are so different. And then the summer before, they changed the law about the head being a principal point of contact. Well, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I'm 6'7". It's a little bit fucking hard for me to hit you in your midsection. So it automatically made the game a lot harder for me. And I think I was still playing the same way. Maybe I was a little slower too, because I was 37. You miss just a millisecond and your timing's off. And I clipped a few guys. Certainly, one of them was your fault, Obi. I'm still waiting for my $220,000 refund.
Let me check Amazon. Hold on, let me see what Amazon's at today.
Yeah, so one of the two. You should definitely send me half of that at least.
That was fuck up, dog. I was in Denver, and Landy's having like a call. He's already won the Calder. And fuck, I didn't see the big boy, all 6'7" of him, looking slim in the Oilers union. And I made the fucking play, and I was like, oh, there's Landy. And as soon as it left my stick, uppy, there I saw the big 25 train. And as like it left my stick, if I could have had a fishing pole or something to bring the puck back, I was like, uh-oh. And fuck, over he came. And thank God Landy at the last second.
Yeah.
just saw Big Sutsy, and Sutsy hammered him, and I had to go up and fight him. And I go in, and this is just when me and Sutsy been hanging out playing golf. So I get in there, I'm like, Sutsy, let's make this look good, hey buddy, let's make this look good. So we're going at it, and next thing you know, he hits me with a fucking pretty good one, give me a black eye, but yeah, you almost killed him,
He calls me on the bus after, and we were both just howling and laughing. It was so funny. But that was the road to the end for me. After the last one, I'd come in and I'd already been back for 3 games, and I got to practice that day in Edmonton. And Tom Rennie calls me into his office, and I'm like, all right, this is weird. Like before practice, what's going on here? And as I turn the corner, I see Steve Tambellini and the assistants are there, and I look to the right, the video board when we do the team video in there. It's a big ass screen, and fucking Shanahan's head's like 8 feet tall on the screen. I'm like, oh, this is not going to be good. So, and they even said, hey, Sutsy, the first thing they said, hey, Sutsy, can you sit down? What else am I going to do? So I sit down, and Shanahan proceeds to roll out like 3 more clips from the last 3 games. And he hits at the end. He just looks at me. He goes, I could have suspended you again for any one of the 3 of these. And he goes, you better figure this out quick, or you're the death of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Is what he said to me. And I was like, oh man. So it's pretty funny that at that point, Edmonton were downturning on the season, and it doesn't look like we're going to make the playoffs. And I remember we played in Detroit, and I stepped up on Big Bert, right? And he toe dragged me like so filthy, and goes in and Ralphs it for the game winner. I didn't play for like the next 3 weeks. So it was like, the end was in sight, and they started grooming a lot of young guys. And then really, like I had already re-signed for another year. I couldn't believe it. I was going to play till I was 39. Like, it's just crazy. But then I blew you guys remember when I blew my knee out? That was a gnarly deal. That was pretty much the end of it.
Yeah. Sutsy, buddy, listen, you had an unbelievable career. You look like you're doing great. And talk to our listeners. You're doing some fun stuff now, Life After Hockey. We're talking about before we got on the air. I'm on your webpage right now, man. It looks pretty sick. Just tell our listeners what it is and where they can find it and all that cool stuff.
Yeah, thanks, Obes. I ended up, when I left the game, I did a bunch of stuff, but I ended up working for a multi-brand hockey company. While I was there, I was investing in the business, and I left the business in really January of 2020. And when I left, I took the Verbero brand out with me. So Verbero is a brand that's been around over a decade. It's in the NHL with gloves and stuff like that with Cam Atkinson and a few other players. So it had some good products. It had a bit of notoriety. And then really, like when I was able to take it outside, I really wanted to do things differently because I played the game, obviously, like you guys did for a long time. Then I worked in the game on the business side, and I was like, I saw a lot of flaws in the industry and a way to, direct the brand that would be in a sort of standalone category. So we took it outside, and there were 2 really major things that we did. First and foremost, my best friend's an elite level software programmer. So I had him develop the only basically automated team store program. So we create 24/7, 365 hockey team stores for teams, leagues, and associations. Then we give them like a 10% credit back to the associations through purchases there. We handle all their bulk orders. So it's a really nice business in that regard. And then the second thing I did was really eliminate territorial representation for sales. So we let our salespeople sell anywhere to anyone, and we let our guys and girls build their own sub-rep forces, so they get paid on the sub-rep sales as well. So we've become really like kind of like a social network of hockey, especially on the sales side. And just to put it into perspective, Bauer had 50 reps worldwide pre-COVID. We just crossed the 370 rep threshold. Wow. And it's growing on its own because our reps are building their own forces and working with their best friends and colleagues. And then really, we have amazing hard goods. We have the lightest stick on the market at 350 grams. We have the only full carbon fiber skate, the only 3D printed full custom helmet. We have some really bitchin' top tier products. We offer everything at player direct pricing. So, it's more accessible to people, because that's the other problem I wanted to solve. And then we really specialize in all things custom. Like, we're custom apparel, all game wear bags, custom gloves, custom sticks, basically anything a team needs, we offer, and then we host it all in the team store. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I'm looking at the website right now. I like the skates. You got the big white tongues out. I like that. So that's nationally.
You know that. You gotta help.
And then listen, hey, I got a charity game coming up here, and I got to be honest with you. My girdle from one of my playing days doesn't fit anymore. Yeah. I see you on here. You got the old double XL girdle, so I might have to purchase that before the.
Hey, send me an address, buddy, offline, and I'll send you guys some stuff.
Yeah, it looks cool, man. The webpage looks so cool. So it's super clean.
Yeah,
super
thanks,
cool.
Oaks. It's been fun, man.
Hey, listen, buddy. I know this is from being uppy. We miss you, buddy. We love you. How's the golf game? Do you still got that 64 degree? Are you just filleting it?
No, I put that away. I like those SM wedges, those SM 6s and 7s and 8s. They're so good. So I didn't need the 64 anymore. So I've honed it in, guys. I've kind of tightened it up a little bit. I'm not going to tell a lie.
Hey, what's the handicap at right now?
I'm floating at a 4 right now, but if you want to invite me to a member guest, it's a good acquisition.
That's a good.
Well, listen, I'll tell you what, Mr. Discovery Project up there, he's always looking for a partner. I've retired from member guest. I suspended myself for a 2-year suspension because I didn't make the last round this year. The body can't take it, Sutsy. Yeah. The boozing, the body can't take the 3-day member guest.
I hear you, buddy. I'm with you. I'd rather get together with the buddies and just play 3 rounds over 3 days, just normal 18 holes, not grind like a madman. Take $100 or $200 off me and call it a day.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, listen, we really appreciate you doing this. I'm glad you're doing well. You look happy, big boy. We miss you, and we'll see you in Nashville. We'll probably be out there this year. We'll hit you up, fella.
Likewise, guys. Yeah, I miss you. I'll look forward to seeing you. Flowers, good to meet you today too, man.
Yes, sir. You too, brother.
Ciao,
Thanks,
boys.
Sutsy.